Hey guys, what's up? Cookie and Swanee here with another podcast. This one's going to be a bit different and focus on a subject that really gained traction thanks to the release of Battlefront 2, but just recently had a pretty significant development. What I'm talking about are loot boxes. The French regulatory body known as ARGEL, or ARJEL, has determined that loot boxes are not a form of gambling. Europe has been trying to come to a consensus on the issue, but that doesn't seem to be happening anytime soon, considering the UK agrees with France while Belgium and the Netherlands disagree and do consider it a form of gambling. Argel did say that they are concerned about introducing something like this to young people because it echoes a lot of the same sentiments of gambling. So basically, the discussion continues. And speaking of discussion, Swanee, let's have one of those. Tell me, do you agree with Argel on this, or do you think it should be considered a form of gambling?
Well, I obviously disagree. Now the problem with these loot boxes is that they make you just want to spend more money. Just nothing but money, 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 money. Oh, I want this outfit. Oh, too bad I didn't get it. Maybe I'll get it next time. And then you spend more money and you don't get it that time. And it's okay with some games, like cosmetic wise, because like say if a game's free to play, or say it's like Fortnite, and Fortnite had some sort of loot box system where you could get skins based off of whatever you get in the different crates, then it's okay. But if it's in a game where you already spend like $60 and then there's extra loot crates in it, then I don't think that loot crates should exist in a $60 game.
I agree that they shouldn't exist in a $60 game, although I don't know if that necessarily makes them completely gambling or should be on the same level as like a casino or something. I agree to an extent, like on a moral, just on the moral side, loot boxes should not be in games that you already have to pay $60 for because it's just stupid and it's extremely greedy and cheap. But I don't think it should necessarily be illegal. I just think it's one of those things that is greedy and crappy, and I don't like it. But I don't think it should constitute the same as gambling in a casino, and therefore you got to make sure a certain age group doesn't do it or this or that. I feel like it's like, because like if Fortnite did it with cosmetics, it would technically, as far as whether it's gambling or not, I think it would still be. I mean, if you consider it gambling in Battlefront, it would be the exact same thing in Fortnite. You know what I'm saying? Like if you consider it gambling for Battlefront to do it, and if Fortnite did it just because they're a free game, it would still be some form of gambling.
Well, the problem with Battlefront was that it was pay to win. You had to get the items to improve your character. So that is the next step up from disgusting loot boxes. That was tied in with improving your character. So that one was probably the worst example of loot boxes was Battlefront system. But yeah, cosmetic loot boxes I just don't think should exist at all, especially if like we're both adults, we can make our decisions with our money. But if you're like a child and like you're using your parents' credit card or whatever, and you're like, mom, can I spend money on this? You don't realize what you're getting into. Like, they can spend $10 and not get the thing they wanted, so they're going to want to spend more money. Yeah. Whereas, like, you or me could spend $10 and be like, wow, that was a waste. I'm not going to spend any more money. Now, I mean, ultimately it comes down to the parent. They could be like, no, I'm not giving you any more money.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. The parent could just, be a parent and be like, no, you can't just use my credit card because you didn't get what you wanted. Welcome to life, kid. That could be one way to fix this whole problem. If the parents would just stop giving money to their kids for this.
The addictive nature of it is what keeps people playing, and it's really scummy, and it's just I don't know. I do feel that it's a form of gambling because they say that there's no real life value to loot boxes. Is that what the defense is?
That was one of the defenses, was that there's no real life value to it. I don't agree with that at all, and I know you don't either, because that's stupid. That's just common sense.
Yeah, it comes down to each individual person. Like, I could say that this video game is worth X amount of money to me. Like, obviously bought the game, so I think it's worth something. But when it comes to, like, okay, say you are at a casino and you win a slot machine and you get tokens. Tokens don't have any real life value to it. It's just a token. It's not until you go cash in those tokens to get the money. So, I mean, it's kind of like you win a loot box. Yeah, none of it's actually worth cash, but to some people it is, because they have those websites where people trade outfits and stuff, and people spend real money to get these outfits.
Yeah, I can't understand how they could call something
dumb.
Like, say something doesn't have real life value when people spend real life money on it. Real life money is real life value. So that's a terrible defense. I think the one defense they could have is it's not exactly the same. I don't think it's to the same extreme as gambling, because it's not like a situation where you put $2 in and you can get absolutely nothing, which is what casinos can do and usually do. However, I do think there's definitely a concern in the fact that it introduces something very close to that kind of gambling to children and people who aren't necessarily
and depending on the
ready
loot
for
crate,
that kind
you
of
can
thing.
get nothing. Like, let's use Star Wars for example, and I open up a loot crate and I get 4 different cards, and then I open up another loot crate and then I got the same exact cards. You wouldn't get anything new. You'd get some credits, and that's it. Like, you don't get the same thing. And some crates,
still
depending on the game,
it's
you
just
can open
not.
it and you won't get anything. Like,
But
you'll
then
get like a duplicate or something.
What I'm saying is, like, but that could beg the question of every purchase you ever make, because any purchase you make, you may not necessarily get what you were hoping for. I know it's a little different in loot boxes because it's randomly generated. Yeah, that's true, but there's a lot of random things that you buy that you can't return. Like, I mean, when you invest, technically anything you pay for and invest in, you're hoping that it's going to be worth the money you spent. But a lot of stuff, like if you go to the movies, watch a movie and it sucks, you can't say, hey, I want my money back. You know, so it's like, so technically every time you go see a movie, it is some form of gambling. So, like, you got to be, there's those two extremes. There's the extreme of going to a casino where you pay $10 to basically just play if you don't win. So that's one form of gambling. Or it could just be the form of gambling that everybody does every time they spend money on anything. You're always hoping to get some sort of value out of that. That's the defense that I think loot boxes can get away with, and that's a hard defense to...
It's that feeling of gambling. Like, because gambling is very addicting. There's millions of people that are addicted to gambling. Like, that's a real thing. You can get help for it. I mean, I don't know how well the help is. I don't know how you can
I haven't been to that rehab
unaddicted
center,
to gambling. But if adults can get addicted to gambling, then, I mean, it might not be set up the same. Like, you might not get real money out of these loot boxes, but these children, they don't see the difference in that. They just get that good feeling. Like, they open a loot crate and they're like, oh man, I got this awesome outfit. That feeling of getting something good from the crate, you want that feeling again. So they're going to get another crate, and then they're going to be disappointed, so they're going to try another crate, and then they're going to keep getting crates until they get that feeling of, oh my god, I got something cool. And they're going to get addicted to that feeling, and then that's going to apply to real life. Like, oh, I really love the feeling of loot boxes. What's that? Oh, I can spend money and do the same thing as an adult in casinos? Like, where does it stop?
Yeah. Well, that's the concern that these regulatory bodies have, is that, it could jump to that. It's just at its current state, I don't think you can... Like, the whole discussion is whether this stuff should be illegal because of minors, because you have to be a certain age to gamble. So that's the general discussion, because kids could buy anything. Like, they could buy a toy and the toy sucks, like that form of gambling. But is this extreme enough to compare to, like, real life casino gambling? I don't know if I'd make that jump. It's greedy, it's scummy, and I hate it, and I don't want it involved in our games. But I don't know if this is something that needs to be put into a law to get eliminated from video games. I don't know. I worry that could potentially start like a slippery slope. Like, now we start questioning any additional purchases. Although to an extent that would be good for us as the consumers, because that means we probably get more content for free and stuff. But I don't know if that's necessarily entirely fair. I don't know if that's something that should be gotten involved in by like laws and stuff.
As much as I want loot boxes to go away, I don't want the government to get involved in video games, especially with how politically correct everything is now. I could only see it like in like 10 years. There's a video game and there's violence in it, and then they make a law where video games can't be too violent. Like, you can't have any killing in video games because of you'll want to go shoot up a place or who knows what.
Yeah.
So
no, that's a really good point.
Yeah, I do not want any form of government involved in video games. Like, I mean, I really, really hate loot boxes, and I kind of wish they would pass a law to get rid of them, but I don't want them to pass a law at the same time. Like, I want to get rid of loot boxes, but I don't want the government involved.
Yeah, remember, both sides of the political spectrum, Republican and Democrat, have issues with video games if you think of the way their standards are and their morals are. So that's, I don't want any politicians involved in video because they do not understand that world.
No.
They do,
especially since most politicians are older.
Yeah,
they don't
they have to
get
be older.
Video games.
Yeah, I mean, like there's a that at that point, even the youngest of them is not going to understand how video games are now. So like until about 30 or 40 years passes, we got a bunch of people out there that are not going to understand this generation and this world. And I'm pretty sure we don't want them involved in video games very much. And unfortunately, they're already a little bit involved in this whole controversy. But if they like pass a law against loot boxes, what comes next?
Yeah. Well, you wouldn't have this problem if these game companies weren't scummy douchebags. If they would just give you a game that was fair, like look at God of War. God of War had tons of content for PlayStation. It was a single player game. There's no DLC or anything. It kind of sucks that there was no extra content, but the game was so fun. It had so much content. It was perfect storytelling. It was amazing. I wish every game put that much time and effort as they did with God of War, instead of like EA, for example, which gave you Battlefront, which is a broken mess, and they gave you loot boxes, and they wanted you to spend $60 or $80 on the special edition, and then you have to spend money on cosmetics and spend money on this and that and that. Like, they need to. There's no limit for the amount of money. Like, they just want to keep making money and money and money when, like, they just need to settle. Like, God of War, that they're not trying to get extra money to nickel and dime you. But Battlefront sold like 9-10 million copies, which equals hundreds of millions of dollars. But that's just not enough. They have to have more money.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also it's not just Battlefront. I mean, I know Overwatch was generally considered a very, very good game. I didn't play it myself, but I know it was very, very well received. But it had loot boxes and stuff. It didn't go into the pay-to-win crap that Battlefront tried to pull, which was just completely over the line in multiple ways. But it did have loot boxes, and that's what Battlefront was trying to copy because they saw how successful it was with Overwatch. So, I mean, EA is probably the worst offender, but they're not the only one. There's plenty of offenders. The good news is, I never want to say EA's learned their lesson because they never do. But at least it looks like they realized people were pretty pissed about loot crates, and I think other companies are seeing that too. They'll find other ways to be scummy.
Warner
and greedy,
Brothers was pretty bad. They implemented loot crates in Shadow of War in single player, which is scummy in a different way, which people backlashed against, and they actually removed the loot boxes from their game. It took them like half a year or so, or longer. I don't remember the exact time period, but they eventually got rid of them from the game completely.
Yeah. And don't forget EA Sports. They've been doing Ultimate Team
their Ultimate Team stuff.
Crazy.
Yeah, they're pretty hypocritical.
Super duper duper super. If anything's close to gambling, it's that. Because that is like, you're talking about all the players in the entire, like for FIFA, all the players in the world that could end up in that pack.
Yeah, that's pretty pay to win.
It's extremely pay to win. But yeah, you can pay for those packs, and you get that adrenaline rush from opening that. So yeah, they're done with loot boxes, guys. As long as they're called loot boxes. So that's another story. But yeah, so yeah, we're kind of on either side of that, but also kind of close to agreement, I think, on this overall. But yeah, it's hopefully something that's going to go away, but I don't know if we all want to get government involved overall in video games. But either way, let us know what you guys think in the comments down below. Maybe you guys agree with us. Maybe you guys completely disagree with us. We'd love to hear your opinions. Tell us what you think is going to happen in the future and everything else. Make sure to hit that like button below this video. Share it around to everybody you know. And let us know in the comments, too, what you guys might want to hear us talk about in the future. But until next time, we will talk to you later.
We would be honored if you would join us. You cannot resist